In Genoa City, nothing ever stays calm for long, and this week, the tension is starting to feel different, heavier, darker, almost like something is about to explode. At the center of it all is a man named Matt Clark, someone whose past is wrapped in confusion, missing memories, and dangerous possibilities. Right now, Matt doesn't fully remember who he is, or what he has done. But in Genoa City, forgetting your past never means it disappears. And that's what makes everything so unpredictable. Meanwhile, Phyllis Summers is living her life like usual, bold, confident, and never afraid to speak her mind. At the GCAC, she crosses paths with Matt in what seems like a completely random conversation. No history, no warning, just two strangers exchanging words. But something about their interaction is off. Matt seems unusually focused on her, like her energy pulls him in. He even comments on her personality, calling it main character energy, which makes Phyllis smirk at first. She enjoys attention, she always has, but this feels different. Almost too intense for a first meeting. What Phyllis doesn't know is that this moment might not be as innocent as it looks. Because somewhere deep inside Matt Clark, there are fragments of a past that haven't fully surfaced yet. Pieces of anger. Pieces of obsession. Pieces of a man who was once extremely dangerous. And those pieces are starting to move. Across town, Nick Newman is dealing with his own internal struggle. He's trying to keep his life together, stay focused, and distance himself emotionally from Phyllis. But anyone who knows Nick understands one thing clearly: Phyllis Summers is never truly out of his heart, no matter how hard he tries. Nick has been working on himself lately. Fighting personal battles. Trying to stay grounded. But Genoa City has a way of pulling people back into chaos just when they think they've escaped it. And this chaos might be Phyllis. As the day unfolds, subtle signs begin to appear. Matt's interest in Phyllis doesn't fade, it grows. His questions become more personal. His gaze lingers a little too long. And what started as casual conversation begins to feel like something else entirely, something unsettling. Phyllis doesn't notice it yet. Or maybe she does, but she's choosing to ignore it. That could be her first mistake. Because in the shadows of Genoa City, a storm is building. And Matt Clark, whether he remembers it or not, may be at the center of it. And when Nick Newman finally senses that something is wrong, it might already be too late to stop what's coming next. Genoa City has a way of hiding danger in plain sight, and right now, that danger is quietly growing inside a story that no one fully understands yet. After the unexpected encounter at the GCAC, things between Phyllis Summers and Matt Clark are no longer just casual or random. Something has shifted. Something subtle, but powerful enough to change the direction of everything. Matt Clark, still living in a fog of incomplete memories, begins to think more and more about Phyllis. At first, it seems harmless. A passing curiosity. A brief interest sparked by conversation. But the problem is, it doesn't stay brief. He remembers fragments. Not full scenes. Not clear events. Just emotional flashes, feelings he can't explain. And strangely, Phyllis becomes part of those flashes. Her face. Her voice. Her energy. And that's where things start to get dangerous. Because when memory is broken, imagination fills the gaps. Back at the Newman orbit of Genoa City, Nick Newman is trying to stay focused on his own recovery and responsibilities. He's been working hard to maintain control over his life, especially after recent personal struggles. But something about Phyllis always pulls him back into concern even when he tries to deny it. And now, that concern starts to feel real again. Nick hears something small at first. A mention. A passing detail. Nothing dramatic. But in Genoa City, even the smallest detail can become a warning sign if you know how to listen. Phyllis was seen talking to a man at the GCAC. A man who seemed intense. Focused. Unusual. Nick doesn't like what he hears. He tries to brush it off at first. Phyllis is capable of handling herself. She always has been. But deep down, Nick knows her better than that. He knows how situations can escalate around her, especially when she's drawn into something unpredictable. And Matt Clark is unpredictable in the worst possible way. Meanwhile, Phyllis herself is enjoying the attention more than she probably should. There's a confidence in her reactions, a spark of curiosity. She doesn't see danger, she sees intrigue. A mystery man with memory issues? That's the kind of situation Phyllis Summers often walks right into without hesitation. But what she doesn't realize is that Matt isn't just curious about her anymore. He's analyzing her, studying her behavior, her tone, her reactions. Almost like he's trying to place her somewhere in his broken memory. And every time he looks at her, the intensity increases. Nick, sensing something is off, begins asking subtle questions. Not openly, not directly, but carefully, like someone trying not to trigger a bigger problem. And slowly, a pattern begins to form. Matt Clark is not just remembering fragments. He is connecting them. And Phyllis Summers may be the center point of everything he's trying to recover. The question now is no longer if something will happen. It's when. And when Nick finally puts all the pieces together, he may realize that stepping in is no longer optional. Because whatever is building between Matt and Phyllis is already starting to spiral beyond control. In Genoa City, the surface always looks calm right before everything falls apart. And right now, that calm is beginning to crack. Matt Clark is no longer treating his encounters with Phyllis Summers as simple chance meetings. Something inside him has shifted, something he cannot fully understand, yet cannot ignore either. The fragments of his memory are becoming sharper, more frequent, and more emotionally charged. And every fragment seems to point back to one thing. Phyllis. At first, it was curiosity. Then recognition without explanation. Now, it is something deeper. Something more focused. Almost like his mind is trying to pull her into a story he has not fully recovered yet. But the danger is this: when memory is incomplete, the mind doesn't always rebuild truth, it rebuilds obsession. Back at the Newman Circle, Nick Newman begins to take the situation more seriously. What started as a vague concern has now turned into something he cannot ignore. He hears more details, small but meaningful. Descriptions of a man at the GCAC. A man who watches too closely. A man who doesn't seem to look away when he should. And Nick's instincts begin to sharpen. He knows Phyllis. He knows how she moves through situations, confident, fearless, sometimes reckless. And he also knows that people like Matt Clark, they don't stay just curious for long. They escalate. Nick starts doing what he does best when something feels wrong. He begins quietly investigating. Not loudly. Not publicly. But carefully, piece by piece, like someone trying to solve a puzzle before it becomes a disaster. And the more he learns, the more uneasy he becomes. Meanwhile, Phyllis continues her interactions with Matt, unaware of the growing storm around her. To her, Matt is still just an intriguing stranger with a mysterious past. She sees conversation, chemistry, curiosity. What she doesn't see is fixation forming in real time. Matt begins appearing in the same places at the same time. Not openly following her, but not exactly random either. His presence becomes more consistent, more intentional. And when he speaks to her now, his tone carries something different. Less charm. More intensity. Almost like he's trying to confirm something only he can sense. Nick finally catches a glimpse of Matt from a distance. And something about that moment changes everything. Nick doesn't know the full story yet, but his instincts scream that this is not normal. Not safe. Not random. This is someone who is circling closer to Phyllis for reasons he hasn't fully admitted to himself. And that realization hits Nick hard. Because deep down, despite everything between him and Phyllis, there is one truth he cannot escape. He will not stand by if she is in danger. As Nick steps deeper into this growing mystery, one thing becomes clear. Matt Clark is not just a stranger in Genoa City anymore. He is becoming a problem. And problems like this never stay small for long. In Genoa City, tension doesn't explode all at once. It builds, quietly, until there's no space left for control. And right now, Nick Newman is standing right at that breaking point. What started as concern has now turned into something far more serious. Nick is no longer just hearing rumors about Matt Clark, he's seeing patterns. Small inconsistencies. Strange timing. Uncomfortable coincidences involving Phyllis Summers. And the more he connects the dots, the more dangerous it feels. Nick knows Phyllis doesn't fully realize what she's stepped into. To her, Matt is still just a mysterious man with missing memories and an unusual personality. But to Nick, something about the situation feels off in a way he cannot ignore. So he starts moving more directly. Quiet questions. Careful observation. Subtle tracking of Matt's appearances around town. Nick isn't acting impulsively, he's calculating. Because deep down, he understands one thing very clearly. If he's wrong, nothing happens. But if he's right, Phyllis could be in real trouble. Meanwhile, Matt Clark is experiencing something he cannot control anymore. The memories are coming faster now. Not in full clarity, but in emotional fragments that hit harder each time. Faces he can't place. Places that feel familiar but distorted. And through all of it, one consistent presence keeps appearing. Phyllis Summers. At first, it confused him. Now it unsettles him. Because the feelings attached to those fragments are not neutral. They are intense, familiar, and deeply personal in a way he cannot explain. And that is exactly what begins to distort his behavior. Matt starts revisiting locations he doesn't consciously remember choosing. He finds himself near the GCAC more often. Near places Phyllis visits. Not in a fully intentional way, but not random either. It's as if something inside him is pulling him toward her. Nick, meanwhile, finally gets a break in his search. He learns something small, but critical. A detail about Matt Clark's behavior that doesn't fit the amnesia explanation perfectly. Something inconsistent. Something that suggests memory is not just missing, but unstable. And that changes everything for Nick. Because unstable memory means unpredictable behavior. And unpredictable behavior around Phyllis Summers is never safe. Nick's concern sharpens into action. He begins preparing himself not for confrontation yet, but for intervention. Because he knows how Genoa City works. Waiting too long always makes things worse. At the same time, Phyllis begins to feel something too, though she cannot quite define it. It's not fear yet. But it's awareness. Matt looks at her differently now. More focused. More distant in thought, like he is trying to solve something only he can see. And when their eyes meet, there's a split-second pause that feels heavier than before. Almost like recognition without explanation. Nick sees this from afar. And that moment confirms everything he was afraid of. This is no longer just curiosity. This is turning into fixation. And Nick Newman finally makes a decision. He is going to step in. Because whatever Matt Clark is becoming, Phyllis is now directly in the center of it. And if Nick doesn't act soon, the situation may cross a line that cannot be undone. Genoa City has seen many storms, but what is building now feels different. Slower, heavier, and far more dangerous. Nick Newman is no longer watching from a distance. He's in it now. After days of growing concern, patterns, and unsettling observations, Nick finally decides there is no more time left for hesitation. Whatever is happening between Matt Clark and Phyllis Summers has moved beyond coincidence. It's becoming personal. And potentially dangerous. Nick tracks Matt's movements carefully, choosing the right moment, not to attack, not to escalate, but to confront. And that moment arrives at the GCAC. Inside the hotel, the atmosphere feels deceptively normal. Guests move in and out, conversations continue, glasses clink softly in the background. But for Nick, everything feels like it has narrowed down to a single point. Matt Clark is there. And so is Phyllis. Nick sees them separately at first. Phyllis, unaware of how close danger has come. Matt, sitting alone, distant, almost lost in thought, like someone standing between two realities. Nick takes a breath and walks in. The moment Nick approaches Matt, the energy in the room suddenly shifts. Nick is calm, but firm. Controlled. His voice carries no aggression, but it carries authority. He doesn't accuse. He doesn't explode. He simply observes and asks questions. And Matt reacts. At first, confusion. Then discomfort. Then something sharper, like fragments inside his mind are being stirred awake. Nick notices it immediately. The reactions are not normal. They are emotional triggers. As Nick continues speaking, carefully, piece by piece, something starts happening to Matt. His expression changes. His breathing tightens. And suddenly, flashes hit him. Not full memories, but enough to shake him. Dark images. Conflicted emotions. Moments buried deep. And one name cutting through everything else. PHYLLIS. Meanwhile, PHYLLIS steps into the situation, sensing tension immediately. She doesn't fully understand what's happening, but she feels it. The shift in energy. The seriousness in Nick's voice. The way Matt is no longer fully present in the conversation. And for the first time, she feels uncertain. Nick turns slightly toward PHYLLIS, not taking his eyes off Matt. And what he says next changes everything. He doesn't shout it. He states it clearly. Matt Clark may not be as lost as he claims to be. The silence that follows is heavy. Matt reacts suddenly, visibly shaken. And in that moment, something inside him breaks through. A memory fragment. A clearer one. Not fully formed, but enough. Enough to make him step back. Enough to make PHYLLIS take a breath she didn't realize she was holding. And enough for Nick to realize the truth is closer than he thought. But just as clarity begins to surface, it also begins to destabilize. Matt's emotions shift rapidly, confusion, tension, recognition, denial, all colliding at once. And PHYLLIS is right in the middle of it. Nick steps forward immediately, positioning himself closer to PHYLLIS, ready for anything. Because now it's clear. This is not just about memory anymore. This is about control, identity, and emotional collapse. Matt looks at PHYLLIS again. But this time, it's different. Not curiosity. Not charm. Something deeper. Something unresolved. And for a split second, it feels like he recognizes her in a way he cannot explain. Nick doesn't wait. He firmly tells Matt to step back. The tension spikes, but Matt doesn't move aggressively. Instead, he looks overwhelmed, like he's trying to hold together something that is falling apart inside his mind. And then, silence again. PHYLLIS finally looks at Nick. And Nick looks back at her. No words are needed. The message is clear. This situation is not over. It has only just begun. As Nick stays close, ensuring PHYLLIS is safe, Matt slowly walks away, visibly disturbed, still caught between fragments of a past he cannot fully access. But one thing is certain. Whatever he is remembering is not finished yet. And in Genoa City, incomplete memories never stay quiet for long.